Hi, I'm Terry Arnold, and I want to tell you a little bit of story in honor of Texas Independence Day. Now, those of you know me know I'm a native Texan, which I love my state. I'm also a native Houstonian, and I particularly love Houston. I must admit, it is an amazing city. If you never visited it, you need to. It is literally the most diverse city in all the U.S. And I'm going to brag a little bit about Texas and bluebonnets and bluebell ice cream and maybe a little Matthew McConaughey. But no, seriously, there is something very cool about what happened in Texas, and it relates to inflammatory breast cancer. People often ask me, why are there not more clinics? Well, first of all, what they don't know is the very first clinic in the entire world was started in Texas in 2006. It was 1 year before I was diagnosed, so I was not part of all of this, but I've met the people involved. I'm going to give you a quick, skinny snapshot of what happened. It is a beautiful story of what advocacy can do. There was a man named Senator Jennings who was from New Mexico. His wife developed breast cancer, and he brought her to Texas for treatment, as many people do. New Mexico is a fabulous state, but there's not as many larger centers. He brought her to MD Anderson. It turns out she didn't have inflammatory. She did have a nasty form of breast cancer, and unfortunately, it did take her life early. But in this process, Senator Jennings met a young woman with inflammatory breast cancer, and it really just pierced his heart. He thought, man, this is a young lady. Something needs to be done. So he went back to his home state and asked the state of New Mexico to give him $2 million. And this is where I'm going to be a little colorful about it, because I'm going to tell it my way. And I hope one day to get him to write it out and tell it his way. He went back to the Senate and said, I want you to give me $2 million to fund MD Anderson for a clinic for inflammatory breast cancer. And they laughed at him. And they said, yeah, you find somebody to give you $2 million and we'll talk. Well, he did. He called his friends at American Airlines, and he called his friends at a lot of other places. $9 million later, he had enough collected to go back to New Mexico and say, let's do this. New Mexico agreed to fund a clinic at MD Anderson for inflammatory breast cancer. All the money was sent through Susan G. Komen, which was a conduit. By the way, it wasn't Susan G. Komen's money. It was other people's money. And you can look more about that if you look up some things that happened with American Airlines and Komen. But anyway, what happened was $9 million later, the money was funded into MD Anderson to fund the infrastructure for the first inflammatory breast cancer in the world. The state of Texas didn't want to be left out, so they kicked in and actually put the inflammatory breast cancer clinic in the line item budget of the state. There is not a single clinic at MD Anderson funded this way, and there is not any other single thing in the state of Texas funded this way. By the way, Texas funds its breast cancer research or other cancer research through something called CCREP. That's how the state divides money, through that agency. So this is incredibly unique. Again, one person met one person who got a ball rolling. Senator Jennings is a very kind man. He's still a friend of those who are suffering from inflammatory breast cancer. He's still actively engaged, although he's retired from politics. This is one of the reasons I am so proud of my home state, because what they did in conjunction with other states was truly, truly historic. And then a few years later, some other clinics were opened in other places, but still, MD Anderson still leads the way with the Morgan Welch Inflammatory Breast Cancer Clinic, which was named in the honor of a lady who inspired it, not because she left legacy money, but because of her story inspired an incredible movement. I then later had the benefit of being treated at that clinic, and I do a lot to help there. As you know, the IBC network funds research there as well as other places. One of the reasons, though, our money can go so far at MD Anderson is the actual infrastructure is funded through these budgets, which allows our seed money, our discovery money, to have a really massive impact. So that is a great story to tell on Texas Independence Day, because we want to declare independence in all kinds of ways. One of them would be independence from cancer. So together, we can do something. Don't be shy. Step up. Volunteer. Donate. Write a story. Literally, one person can make